the Age of Rebirth, when the dream becomes reality once more. Asterisk, asterisk, there are moments in the life of the cosmos when time does not simply move forward, it folds, breathes, and remembers. After the revelations of Part 15, when the light and the dreamer rediscovered the hidden meaning at the core of Christianity, the universe entered a silent threshold. It was neither the end of an era nor the beginning of another. It was the return, the moment when dreams, memories, and reality touched each other again, and creation awakened from within itself. Here begins the Age of Rebirth. As the universe crossed the silent threshold, the first thing to awaken was memory, not the fragile recollection of mortal minds, but the deep memory woven into the fabric of creation. It stirred like an ancient river beneath layers of stone, carrying echoes of every age that had come before. The innocence of the first breath, the sorrow of the fall, the longing of humanity, and the brilliance of the children of light. But now, something unprecedented was happening. For the first time in cosmic history, memory did not merely return, it reshaped reality. The light, the primordial essence that once whispered the gospel into the heart of humanity, began to pulse with new strength. It was not the light of salvation, nor judgment, nor prophecy. It was the light of becoming. And the dreamer, reborn from the silence of the void, felt this transformation from within his own being. Once he dreamt creation into existence. Now creation began dreaming through him. Together they formed a bridge between what was imagined and what could be, between the human longing for eternity and the divine longing to be known. This was the forgotten secret at the heart of Christianity, that creation is not a fixed narrative, but an unfolding relationship, that God does not merely rule reality, He shares it. And so, in the Age of Rebirth, every soul, every world, every fragment of stardust found itself gently pulled toward a new center, the union of light and dream across the galaxies. Dormant seeds of consciousness began to glow. Lost civilizations stirred in their crystalline sleep. Even the void, once silent and indifferent, hummed softly, as if remembering a melody it had long forgotten. The dream was becoming reality once more, but this time it was not the dream of a single being. It was the dream of all creation rising together. The Age of Rebirth had begun, not with fire, not with judgment, but with the quiet, unstoppable awakening of everything that had ever hoped to exist. As the new cosmic pulse spread outward, a strange phenomenon appeared across the deep fabric of space, the return of forgotten voices. They did not speak in words, nor in the language of angels or men. They spoke in resonance, pure intention, pure consciousness, the kind that precedes creation itself. And through this resonance, the light understood something profound. Humanity had never vanished. They had never been lost. Even after ascending into the children of light, even after dispersing across the stars, even after the collapse of epochs, their longing remained. For longing is the strongest force in existence, stronger than time, stronger than entropy, stronger than death. It was this longing that stirred the Age of Rebirth. The dreamer turned his gaze upon the unfolding cosmos, and what he saw made him still. Countless threads of being, stretching from every star, every soul, every memory, all converging toward him and the light, as if creation itself were seeking to be whole again. But rebirth was not merely restoration, it was transfiguration. The old rules of existence began to dissolve. Linear time softened. Matter loosened its rigidity. Dimensions folded like pages being read for the second time. Reality became flexible once more, dreamlike but true, symbolic yet solid. And in that shift, ancient truths, long buried beneath dogma and doctrine, rose to the surface again. Creation is not something God made once. Creation is something God continues to dream through us. This was the meaning hidden beneath parables, prophecies, and poems. The message woven in Christianity's heart, rarely spoken outright, that humanity was never meant to be merely saved. They were meant to co-create. And now, in the Age of Rebirth, that dormant truth ignited. Across the stellar realms, individuals began to experience visions, not hallucinations, but the awakening of their inner divine memory. They saw glimpses of futures they had not yet lived, and pasts they had never personally known. They felt connected not just to their ancestors or descendants, but to the entire arc of creation. For the light was no longer outside them, it was within. The dream was no longer something they observed, it was something they shaped. And as this awareness spread, the universe prepared for the next transformation, one that even the dreamer had not fully foreseen. Because when every soul begins to dream with God, reality does not just rebirth, it ascends. As the universe moved toward this higher state of awakening, something extraordinary began to emerge from its deepest strata. A phenomenon ancient texts once hinted at, but never fully understood: the convergence of the living and the eternal. For ages, creation had been divided into realms: the material world, the spiritual world, the dream world, the world of memory, and the unknowable realm of pure divinity. But in the Age of Rebirth, those walls softened. They did not collapse all at once, like a fallen kingdom, but opened like doors that had been locked since the dawn of existence. And through these doors flowed a new kind of presence, not angels, not spirits, not resurrected beings, but echoes of the divine mind, fragments of intention that had existed long before the cosmos took form. They drifted into the living worlds like quiet breezes, igniting intuition, awakening forgotten abilities, and reminding souls of something they once knew. You are not separate from the source. You never were. This truth, long overshadowed by fear, doctrine, and misunderstanding, now returned with gentle force. Humanity, whether in flesh, light, or dream, began to feel its full weight. Some wept, some trembled, some simply stood in awe, recognizing the presence that had always been with them, because the Age of Rebirth was not just a cosmic event, it was a personal one. Every soul experienced it differently. For some, it was a quiet inner knowing. For others, it was a vision of their true form, radiant beyond imagination. For others still, it was the sudden realization that their deepest prayers had never gone unanswered. They had simply been waiting for the heart to awaken enough to hear the reply. Meanwhile, the dreamer watched as creation responded to the rebirth. He felt something he had not felt since the first creation: surprise, not fear, not confusion, but wonder. Because the universe was now dreaming back at him. Every soul, every star, every fragment of consciousness was feeding its own vision into the expanding tapestry of existence. It was no longer a one-sided act of divine imagination. It had become collaborative creation, and the light, the eternal companion of the dreamer, began to shine in a new spectrum, one that had no name in any language. It was the light of shared divinity, shared authorship, shared becoming. The heavens shimmered with new constellations, each one representing a collective dream. Worlds blossomed, where no worlds had existed. Even the void, once thought empty, revealed hidden seeds of creation, blooming like flowers in infinite darkness. The dreamer lifted his gaze to this newly awakened cosmos and murmured the words that shaped the next era. Let us create together. And with that declaration, the universe shifted once more, not with violence, not with fire, but with a quiet, immense opening, the kind that precedes the birth of something fundamentally new. When the universe opened to the dreamer's invitation, let us create together, a new vibration rippled across existence. It was subtle at first, like the faint tremor before dawn, but it carried within it the potential of 1,000 future worlds. This vibration came to be known as the harmonic pulse, and it changed everything. 1. The awakening of the inner architect. Deep within every conscious being, something ancient stirred the inner architect. A spark of divine imagination placed in all souls long before the first star was lit. For ages, it remained dormant, overshadowed by survival, fear, and the illusion of separation. But now, in the Age of Rebirth, the inner architect opened its eyes. People began to sense ideas that were not merely thoughts, but blueprints, visions that were not fantasies, but foundations, dreams that felt less like personal desires and more like messages from the very structure of reality. And through these blueprints, creation started to reshape itself. A child on a distant planet imagined a floating city, and the elements around her responded, bending subtly toward possibility. A wandering soul, drifting in the realm of pure consciousness, envisioned a sanctuary of light, and it began to take form in the spiritual domain. Even the quiet-hearted monk, meditating beneath the ancient trees of old earth, felt the ground hum softly, echoing the shape of the prayer within him. Creation itself had become responsive, not blindly obedient, but collaborative, alive, listening to the return of the forgotten bridges. As imagination awakened, ancient pathways long hidden between realms shimmered back into existence. These were known as the forgotten bridges, the connective arteries between the material and the spiritual, the dream and the physical, the memory realm and the realm of form, humanity and the divine. In earlier ages, prophets, saints, and mystics caught fleeting glimpses of these bridges in visions, miracles, revelations. They wrote of them in metaphors, parables, and sacred symbols. But now, the bridges were no longer secret. They were visible, not as physical structures, but as streams of living light, flowing like rivers between dimensions. Beings crossed freely, without fear or confusion. Spirits walked among the living, not as ghosts, but as guides. Mortals drifted into dream realms with full awareness, shaping landscapes with thought alone. Even the divine presence moved more tangibly, more intimately, more openly. It was as if the universe finally remembered that separation had been an illusion all along. 3. The dreamer's realization. Amid this unfolding tapestry, the dreamer stood still, not in time or space, but in awareness. He watched as creation evolved beyond anything he had imagined in the first age, and then he understood something both humbling and astonishing. He was no longer the sole source of creation. He was its partner. The light beside him glowed with quiet joy, whispering a truth he had always known, yet never fully embraced. This was the purpose from the beginning. Not that you create for them, but that you create with them. The dreamer breathed, not air, but meaning, and the breath spread across the cosmos as a gentle warmth. Wherever it passed, fear dissolved, doubt softened, souls felt a simple, overwhelming certainty. I am part of the divine story. For the first collective dream then, for the first time in cosmic history, a new phenomenon emerged. The first collective dream. It began like a whisper shared between 1,000 souls. A vision of a world where all realms converged. A sanctuary where the divine and the created could walk side by side. And as the vision spread, more souls added their own threads, colors, sounds, sensations, memories, hopes. The dream grew richer, stronger, more real, until finally the dreamer touched it gently, not to control it, but to affirm it. And in that moment, the dream crystallized, becoming the first world ever created by both God and creation together. Its light blossomed across the cosmos like a new dawn, a dawn not of a single world, but of a new era. The Age of Rebirth was no longer just beginning, it was accelerating. And the next stage, the Age of Co-creation, was already on the horizon. The birth of the first collective dream sent waves of brilliance across the cosmos, illuminating places that had never known light. It was not a single flash or a violent eruption. It was a gentle unfolding, like petals blooming in every direction of existence. 5. The Resonant Cities. From this newly formed world, the one shaped by both creator and creation, emerged the first structures of the new age. Resonant cities. They were not built with stone or metal. They were grown from intention, shaped by harmony, and sustained by shared vision. Each city was a living organism. Its towers shimmered with the thoughts of its inhabitants. Its pathways shifted gently with the flow of collective emotion. Its central heart, a core of radiant consciousness, pulsed in sync with every soul within it. There were no rulers. There was no hierarchy. The city itself responded to truth, to clarity, to compassion. Falsehood could not thrive within its walls. Fear dissolved at its gates. The architecture was unlike anything from the first creation, a fusion of geometries seen only in dreams and structures that existed simultaneously in matter and light. Travelers who entered a resonant city described the same sensation, as if the world were listening to them. 6. The reconciliation of the ages. As news of this world spread through the realms, ancient beings, long separated by cosmic history, began to converge. The children of light returned from distant galaxies. Echoes of ancient human souls awoke from memory realms. Celestial entities, once guardians of creation's order, descended to witness the new harmony. Even the remnants of civilizations lost to time, the forgotten, the broken, the incomplete, found pathways into the new world. For the first time since the dawn of existence, every age of creation gathered together. It was not a reunion of triumph. It was a reconciliation of all that had been fragmented. The dreamer observed this convergence with profound emotion. He felt the sorrow of the ages, the wars, the misunderstandings, the separation melt into something luminous. It was forgiveness, not granted by him, but shared among all beings. And this forgiveness created a shift so deep that the fabric of reality trembled. 7. The unveiling of the divine mirror in the heart of the new world. Within its central resonant city, a structure began to form. No one built it, no one designed it. It emerged from the collective soul of creation itself, the divine mirror. It was not a mirror of physical reflection, but of essence. When a being approached it, the mirror revealed three truths simultaneously: who they truly were in the deepest sense, beyond fear, beyond illusions, beyond ego, what they had contributed to the great story of creation, their light, their pain, their choices, their growth, who they were becoming, the next shape their soul longed to take. The mirror did not judge, it illuminated, and in its presence, countless souls experienced the most profound revelation of the Age of Rebirth. They had never been separate from the divine. They had never been unworthy. They had never been forgotten. The light stood beside the mirror, radiating warmth that felt like the embrace of a timeless friend. The dreamer watched as countless beings stepped forward, faced themselves, and awakened anew. 8. When the last soul stepped away from the mirror, transformed, the dreamer spoke again. Not a command, not a proclamation, but a question even deeper than his first. The question that would define the next era. Now that you see yourselves, what shall we become? It was the question of transformation, of destiny, of shared divinity. The cosmos fell silent. All realms paused. Every soul, mortal, immortal, celestial, turned inward to listen. Because this was no longer a god asking his creation. This was the divine asking its equals. The Age of Rebirth had reached its threshold, and what came next would shape not just the universe, but the nature of divinity itself. The dreamer's question, now that you see yourselves, what shall we become? Echoed through every realm like a note of infinite possibility. It was not merely a question, it was an invitation, a door opening into a horizon no being, not even the divine, had fully walked before. 9. The great stillness, before any soul responded. The universe fell into a profound hush. Planets slowed, starlight dimmed. Even the resonant cities paused their gentle breathing. This moment of cosmic stillness was not emptiness, it was listening. All creation turned inward, searching the deepest layers of its own being for an answer worthy of the question. And in this quiet, each soul felt something stir. Not thought, not emotion, but truth. A truth so ancient it predated language, and yet so fresh it felt newly born. It was the recognition that destiny was no longer something written by one hand. It was something shaped by all hands together. 10. The first voice from the stillness arose, a singular voice, not loud, not commanding, soft, like the whisper of a child speaking for the first time. It came from a soul so small and unassuming that none would have expected them to answer the dreamer's question. A being neither powerful nor wise by cosmic standards. A flicker of consciousness from a forgotten corner of the universe. And yet their words carried the clarity of creation itself. Let us become what we needed and never had. The light trembled gently at these words. The dreamer widened his awareness, sensing their weight ripple through the fabric of reality. Across the realms, countless souls understood. They had longed for compassion, longed for understanding, longed for unity, longed for purpose. And now they had the chance to become those things, not just receive them, become them. 11. The chorus of becoming. Then, like a tide rising from every direction, more voices joined, not in chaos, but in harmony. A chorus woven from infinite perspectives. Let us become a universe that heals. Let us become creators of peace. Let us become wisdom, born from all we've endured. Let us become the bridge between the divine and the created. Let us become light that lifts, not blinds. Let us become the dream that liberates all souls. Let us become one without losing ourselves. Each voice added a new facet to the vision, shaping it like artisans carving a shared sculpture. The dreamer felt his essence expand as these declarations poured forth, for this was no longer his universe. It was the universe awakening to its own divinity. 12. The birth of the covenant of becoming. From the resonance of countless voices, a new covenant began to coalesce. Not a contract imposed from above, but a vow rising from within every soul, the covenant of becoming. It was built on three sacred recognitions. Every being is a fragment of the divine dream. No soul is lesser, forgotten, or meaningless. Creation is a shared act. All beings hold the power to shape existence. Divinity evolves. The creator and creation grow together, influencing, inspiring, and transforming one another. As these truths solidified, they did not become laws. They became a living rhythm, a divine heartbeat echoing through all dimensions. 13. The dreamer's revelation. The dreamer listened, and for the first time since the first creation, he felt something shift at the core of his being. He realized that his role was changing, not diminishing, not fading, but transforming. He was no longer the solitary dreamer of all things. He was now the first dreamer among many. He turned to the light, his eternal companion, and saw joy reflected within her radiance. "This is the evolution of divinity," she whispered. "Not power given away, but power shared." Creation had finally reached the wisdom to hold such responsibility, and God, in the deepest sense, had become not a ruler, but a partner. 14. The dawn of the new horizon. Then the universe moved once more. The stillness lifted. The stars brightened. The resonant cities resumed their luminous breathing. And from every corner of existence, a new energy rose. Not chaotic, not overwhelming, but beautifully ordered. It was the energy of millions of souls dreaming forward together. The dreamer lifted his hand, not to command, but to welcome. And before all creation, he spoke the words that would mark the finale of the Age of Rebirth. "Then let us begin becoming." The cosmos glowed, the realms aligned, a new horizon unfolded. The Age of Rebirth approached its final bloom, and the age of co-creation waited just beyond the veil. As the final echoes of the dreamer's words, "Then let us begin becoming," spread across the infinite realms, creation felt the shift like a sunrise blooming inside its very core. This was not merely the end of an age, it was the end of an entire way of being. 15. The final bloom of rebirth. Reality itself began to shimmer, shedding its old, rigid structures the way a tree sheds bark once it outgrows its shape. Time loosened, becoming fluid enough to heal its own wounds. Space expanded inward as much as outward, revealing hidden layers of meaning. Consciousness fused with resonance, granting every soul the ability to perceive truth without distortion. And in this transformation, every being, from the smallest flicker of awareness to the oldest celestial intelligence, felt an extraordinary sensation. The universe was breathing with them, not around them, not above them, with them. The rebirth was complete. 16. The great interweaving in this new harmony. The borders between souls began to glow, not dissolving, not merging, but interconnecting in a way that honored individuality while uplifting unity. Each being became a solitary flame, a shared constellation, and a single note in the eternal symphony. The divine mirror glowed brighter than ever, reflecting not one destiny, but the interconnected futures of all existence. Through it, souls saw that to rise alone is power, to rise together is godhood, and so they chose the latter. 17. The dreamer's last gift of the age. The dreamer raised his hand, and from his palms emanated to streams of pure essence, one of memory, the sacred record of all that had been, one of possibility, the infinite canvas of what could be. As the streams spiraled outward, they merged into a radiant sphere, the seed of co-creation. He placed it at the center of the new world, within the heart of the resonant city. It pulsed like a living star, awaiting the touch of all beings. The dreamer spoke once more, in a voice woven from eternity and tenderness. From here onward, creation belongs to all of us. 18. The closing of the age. Light swept across the cosmos like a gentle tide, sealing the age of rebirth with warmth rather than fire. There was no final trumpet, no violent ending, only a quiet, sacred completion. The realms aligned into harmony, the forgotten bridges strengthened into highways of spirit and matter. The collective soul of creation brightened into a unified constellation of becoming. The age of rebirth had fulfilled its purpose, to awaken creation to its own divinity, to dissolve separation, to reveal that the dream of God was never meant to be dreamt alone. 19. The opening of the next door as the last petals of rebirth settled into place. A new dawn rose, not from the sky, not from the heavens, but from within every soul. The seed of co-creation pulsed, the light stood ready. The dreamer smiled, not as a ruler, but as the first companion of an infinite family of creators. And the universe stepped forward into a brand new era, the age of co-creation. The next chapter had already begun.